So I actually built this calculator many years ago, but I thought I would revisit it again. It's still in my notebook Word, which is available for download still, so you can go ahead and download it and play with it yourself too if you want. The link will be in the description. It's been a while since I've been in this Word. This Word basically has a bunch of old notebook songs that I used to make. So let's see where the calculator is. Yeah, there are quite a lot of notebook songs in this Word. Okay, here it is. So first of all, let me show you how large this calculator is. This is all the redstone that makes it work. It's still loading. Let me increase the render distance and hopefully not lag too much. So these are notebook songs, they're not part of the calculator. Basically the color, the wool are part of the calculator. So pretty big project, that's why it took me very long. I obviously didn't build it block by block, I used MC Edit to copy and paste a bunch of repeating structures. The colors are also meaningful, so they helped me identify which piece of wiring was used for which purpose, and they helped make the structure a bit less messy, I guess. I will try to explain how everything works basically. So first of all, this is the inside of the calculator. This is the screen, and these are the controls. So let's see if it even works still. Hopefully it does. Unfortunately, the Division doesn't really work anymore with the newer Minecraft versions. It used to work in the older versions, but it used to take like many minutes to even do just one division calculation. But with the newer updates, they had changed the way the entire game works basically behind the scenes. And that made the division take much longer and it would crash the game. So yeah, it doesn't really work anymore. But let's try a simple addition. Now every single calculation takes quite a lot of time, but addition shouldn't take too much. Like less than a minute hopefully. So the way it works is, this is the keypad, so this would be number 3. And then when you hear a note block, that tells you that you can input the next digit. Because if you press a bunch of buttons very quickly, it might screw everything up. So far we pressed 3, 5, let's do a 9, and a 4, and now we can press plus, and once we do this, the number should appear here. I don't know why this is happening, but yeah, so far so good. 3594 plus, let's add 617. Actually, we should add the funny number, so let's do cancel, which is this one. So just like in normal calculators, the big cancel resets everything, but the small one only resets like the last number we typed. So now we can type the funny number and we can add the two numbers together. Let's see how long it takes. So the number showed up. Let's see how long it takes for the result to appear. So this isn't some effect or anything, this is actually the redstone working. Okay, so it didn't take too long. Let's see if it's good. Yeah, looks good to me, so it still works, that's good. So let's check the behind the scenes. These are the node blocks that make the different sounds, by the way. So the red wool doesn't mean much, it basically links each number and each control from the keypad onto the correct wires. So this is where each digit first arrives. Actually, I should show you how it works step by step, I think. Let's break the wall a bit. we'll fix that later. So let's cancel everything again. So basically what happens when I press, for example, 6, I think 6 would be this one here. This redstone wire briefly turns off, and then it goes here, and this wire turns on, so this yellow wire turns on, and each wire here represents a digit, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this wire turns on briefly. And then what happens is there's like what's called NRS NOR latch somewhere here, which keeps it in memory. So let's press 6 right now and maybe we'll see something happening. So I think I forgot where the RS NOR latch is. Okay, there it is. See, this is the only wire that is lit, because the RS NOR latch is right here. I barely remember every little structure, but I remember the general of how it works. So if we can get a good look at this again, these are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 6th wire is lit. And this goes to over here, and it keeps going all the way over here. Now the light pink wool represents the ones. Do you remember like the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands? So that's why the light pink wool is the only one that is lit right now. So the complicated part now is, if you think about it, what needs to happen when I add another digit? Let's say we want to use the number 64. So the 6 now needs to move from the 1s to the 10s, because now the 4 is what occupies the 1s. Hopefully that makes sense. But because of that, I had to build quite a complex redstone contraption thing to do that. Oh, also, by the way, another thing that happened already is that the 6 was converted into binary, because calculators have to work with binary basically. So the set of 4 wires here is the number 6 in binary. In fact, number 6 in binary is 0, 1, 1, 0. And this should go to 2 different places. So one place it goes to is here. This is like the RAM for the display. This part here doesn't have anything to do with any calculation. This is just so that the 6 is visible on the screen. However, in order to reduce the lag when you're entering the number, I made it so that the first number only appears on the screen when you press plus or minus or whatever. So right now, the 6 is being stored here. But as you can see, it's not actually going to the screen. All these wires are still off right now. And then when I press plus, this green wire will actually let the signals through and the 6 will appear on the screen. I'll show you that later on. But also, the same binary number is also going to the calculation portion of the calculator. But again, it's actually not going the full way immediately, because that would cause a lot of unnecessary lag. So again, the same light green wiring is blocking the way, and when I press plus, minus or whatever, this redstone here will turn off and it will let the signal through onto the yellow wiring, and the yellow wiring is what is responsible for the calculations basically. And as you can see, there's a lot of yellow wiring, and that's why I made it so that the signal only goes through when I press plus or minus or whatever. Okay, hope you have understood something so far. So the next thing I'm gonna do is press 4, so that now the number in the memory will be 64. The way I made it is that with each number I press, the earlier number will move to the next digit space, as I tried to explain earlier on. So now when I press 4, the 6 is supposed to go from the light pink to the dark pink wiring, while the 4 takes its place in the light pink wiring. So let's see if that actually happened. Yep, as you can see, just before this 6 wire was lit, but now it's turned off. And instead the 4th wire is turned on. And hopefully, yep, the 6th wire of the dark pink wool is lit, while the 4th isn't. So that worked. By the way, the thing that bumps each number from one row to the other is this bit here. I don't even remember fully how it works, but it's basically RS NOR latches with some delay. If you're good at redstone, you can probably kind of guess how that works. So let's see the situation over here. So now the binary thing over here shows a 4, which is 0, 0, 1, 0 in binary, so that also works well. But the binary 6 hasn't been deleted from the system, it has just moved onto here. So 0, 1, 1, 0. And should be the same thing over here, I think. Yeah, so this is the 4 and the 6 has moved. Oh yeah, this is actually different. So I'll try to explain this again. So in the display, all I had to do was move the binary 6 one step, because this bit here will show up on the display as a 6, and this bit here will show up on the display as a 4. But in the calculation wiring, it's not that simple, because that 6 isn't really a 6, it is a 60. So what I had to do was, when I bumped that 6 from 6 to a 60, I had to make the binary version of it actually 60 and not 6. So this should be the binary of 60, which I don't know by heart, but apparently is 011110. And that is handled somewhere over here. Now there is a binary 4 and a binary 60, which are meant to go over on this yellow bit, but again they are currently being blocked by this light green wiring. So now we can actually press the plus button, and now we should be able to see the redstone signals propagating through the system. So once we press the plus, let's try to be fast. Yeah, it has already happened. Now the signals are actually passing through over here. So this is the 4 and this is the 6. Now these are going all the way to the screen. It goes from here back. Oh, there's another thing as well actually. So these are right now in binary. And the only real reason they are in binary is because they are more compact that way. I just need 4 rows really. But in order to be shown on the screen, I can just leave them as binary. I have to separate them into 10 different rows, one for each digit. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I don't think this is 0. I think this is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So yeah, these go back to here. And then I have to convert the decimal, I guess, into 7-segment display system, basically. So this looks very complicated, but it's kind of simple. Basically, each row here is responsible for a segment in the 7-segment display. This is the top row. This one here is for the left or right one, this is for the middle, this is for the left or right, and so on. So the light pink should be showing the number 4. And we should be able to see that the top segment is off, but these are both on, and this one is also on, but these are off. While the darker pink is responsible for the 6, and as you can see, the top one is on, These are also on, this is off, and these are all on. And these then go all the way over here, and you can see this better effect. So for example, this top row is responsible for this row here. This is responsible for this. This one is responsible for this middle segment. This one is responsible for this one, and so on. So we can kind of see the 6 here and the 4 over here. Also, apart from this, I pressed the plus, remember? And the plus should also be visible on the screen. Now the plus goes somewhere over here. It's one of these 4. This basically are the plus, minus, multiplication and division. I'm not sure if that's exactly each one, but it's like that. I need the plus, minus, etc. to be separated, of course, but also I combine all of them into this one wire, and this one wire is used to let the blocked signals through that I showed you earlier. So this one goes all the way over here, and what this does is it lets all these signals that were earlier blocked through onto the calculation system. And another branch of this light green wire goes all the way over here, and this one lets the signal through onto the display. But apart from that, the plus also has to go to the screen and also to the calculation bit so that it can tell the calculator that it's an addition that I want to do. So the white represents addition. The white, anything with white wool means addition. And this goes all the way over here. And it is then split into 2. This one is for the display and this one is for the calculation. So the one for the display keeps going over here. And it goes all the way up here. And this is the 7-segment display of the plus, basically. And if we go here, we should be able to see the plus, kind of, but this is much more compact than the 7-segment display for the digits, so you can barely see it. And if we look at the screen, and I'll just break the ceiling, because we're anti-ceiling gang, the plus is visible, as you can see, and 64 is also visible. So far, there have been 0 glitches, which is good. And I actually tested this thing for glitches a lot, so I'm quite confident that there are in fact 0 glitches with this calculator, but I challenge you to find a glitch with it, I guess. So as I said before, the plus also goes to the calculation system, but yeah, this makes sense. The signal again is blocked, because I don't really want the addition to take place right now, because again it would cause unnecessary lag. And the signal will be unblocked by the dark green wool, and the dark green wool is basically the equal sign, or is it called equals in American, or is that just British? And by the way, the light grey represents subtraction, dark grey represents multiplication, and black represents division. So I guess we can go ahead and enter another digit. Let's just add a 3 to make it simple. So now, by the way, another thing I didn't mention is when I pressed plus, and I could have pressed minus times or whatever, anything in this part was reset, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to enter the second digit, which is the 3. So anything in this part was reset back to 0, but now there should be a 3 over here somewhere. Yeah, this is the 3, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3. And this is the 3 over here. Now the 3 is going to this part onto the display. But of course we don't want it to replace the 4 from the previous number. So what I did was I separated each number into 2 systems. The plus, minus, or whatever will unlock the signal on the stop part. But now when I later on will press equals, it will unblock the signal on this lower part so that the two numbers are separated. This part here is responsible for the first number, and this part over here is responsible for the second number. Of course there is no tree right now because I haven't pressed equals yet, but when I do, this thing will let the signal through onto here. Same thing with the calculation part. Now this part shows 3 in binary, which is 0011. And where did the first number go? Because the first number should obviously stay in memory, so I'm sure it is somewhere here in memory. And in fact, yes, I think I have already added the two digits of the first number together. Because one thing I had to do was to add 60 and 4 to make 64, because ultimately the calculator needs to work with 64. Let's see if I can see that somewhere here. So, yeah, as you can kind of see, there are two numbers here. From what I can see, this part here is probably responsible for the first digit, because I can see the light gray wool here. The first number, I mean, not the first digit. While this would be responsible for the second digit, because I can only see dark green wool here. So, yes, I think what I had done was that the first light green wool unblocks the signal and stores it in this bit. But it still doesn't let it through completely, again to minimize lag, and only the dark green wool, when I press the equal sign, will let the signal through. So just from logic, I should expect the 64 to be stored in this bit, but of course in the light pink and the dark pink area. So yeah, this is the 4, which is 0010 in binary, and this is the 6. Actually 60, not 6. But there's... okay, it's here. Wait, I'm confused. Okay, I think this is it. Yeah, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Yeah, that is stored here as well, and I guess when I press equals, yeah, it will let these through. Okay, that makes sense. So now we can press equals, and when I press equals, I'm gonna go over to the calculation bit. So when I press equals, a lot of things will happen. That's the node block. The dark green wire should light up. I think it has already lit up. And the number should finally make it over to this bit. You should be able to see like that wire is turned off. I think that's... yeah, I think that's 64, because 64 is very simple in binary. It's just, well, a bunch of zeros, and then a 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And the 3 should be here. Let's see if we can... yeah, this is the 3. It's just a bunch of zeros. So, by the way, in this bit, lit redstone means 0, while unlit redstone means 1. So it's kind of the opposite that you would expect, but whatever, it's the same thing. So yeah, 3 would be a bunch of zeros, and then 1, 1. Now all of these go over here, and since we had pressed plus, the white wool, the redstone on the white wool is lit, while the redstone on the other wool colors are not lit. That means that the white wool is letting the signal through, while all these other ones, for example, this is the subtractor, and that's not letting the signal through. Again, to reduce lag, because we don't want the subtractor to be actually working when we're only interested in the addition. And we definitely don't want the markiplier, I mean the multiplier, and the divider to be working, because that would be a lot of unnecessary lag. As you can see, addition is much simpler than multiplication, that's for sure. So, if we head over to the addition, we should be able to see... let me orient myself well. So the 3 enters on the top portion, while the 64 enters from the bottom portion. This is it. I know this must be so confusing, it probably doesn't make any sense to most of you, so I apologize for the very bad explanation, but I'm trying my best over here. So the part which actually adds them together is the redstone on the white wool. And that there is kind of simple-ish. It's basically a bunch of XOR gates. Anyone who likes to play with redstone logic gates probably knows what XOR gates are. And AND gates. So it's just XOR gates and AND gates basically. I'll try to show you a simple diagram or something of how a basic adder works. Anyway, so the binary tree is going over here, while the binary 64 is going under here somewhere. I don't know, I'm kind of disoriented here. But the result should be 67, and the result should be on the orange wool. The orange represents the result. So let's see if we can see that. So yeah, binary 67 should be 10000011. So the result goes all the way over here. And now this is the interesting bit. I had never studied anything related to computer studies or whatever at school, so I had no idea about this. I had to Google it for help. And this thing is called, I think it's called the double-double. Yes, it is the double-double algorithm. So this algorithm converts binary into what's called binary coded decimal. Now this is needed to show the result on the screen, because right now we have a binary number for 67, okay, fair enough, but how do we show that on a screen? If you think about it, it's kind of impossible. You have to convert it into similar to the binary that I showed you over here. Each 4 rows are the binary number for each digit. So for example, the 7 should be coded in these 4 rows over here, while the 6 should be coded over here. But it hasn't been calculated yet. This keeps going over here, because the double-double algorithm is very long and complex. So the signal goes here, then turns like this, and goes all the way over here again. This was just to conserve space, really, instead of having it a very, very long path of redstone, and then it curves like this again and goes back here. And now is where the magic is happening. This algorithm was a bit complex, and I forgot totally how it works, but it works. So now finally, the number should have been converted from 64, actually 67 in decimal, into a binary 6 and a binary 7. So let's see if that's true. Yeah, so this is 0, 1, 1, 1, which is 7 in binary. And this is 0, 1, 1, 0, which is 6 in binary. And this keeps going all the way over here. And the numbers are converted first into decimal, so there are 10 wires here. So this is the 7, and this one is the 6. And like earlier, each number is then converted into the 7-segment display to show up over here. So the light pink is responsible for the 7, and the dark pink is responsible for the 6. Also, just like with the plus, the signal for the equal sign goes all the way over here. Let me break the display even more. So this horizontal line is what that dark green redstone wire lights up. And this is the 67. Everything worked perfectly well, no glitches. Very nice. I think that's most of what I wanted to show. But this calculator also has a few other extra additions, I guess. For example, the diffusion system, when it worked, had a whole system for the remainder. Also, it can work with negative numbers if you subtract, and it also has the greater sign, just in case you multiply two very large numbers that cannot show up over here. Should I do a multiplication maybe? Even though it's so complex that I totally forgot how multiplication in binary works. So first of all, when I press the big cancel, everything should reset. I don't even know. I think the cancel is the brown one. I'm just assuming that the cancel is the brown wool. And the brown wool should basically go all around the calculator to basically cancel everything. And make sure to reset every redstone wire back to its default setting. The display is reset back to 0, so that worked. Let's multiply the funny numbers together. What do the two funny numbers multiplied produce even? I don't even know. That will be interesting. So this is the markiplier, I mean the multiplier. Has the calculation been done already? I doubt that. But I don't see any redstone moving around, so maybe. So I'm not gonna try to explain how the markiplier, I mean multiplier, works, because I basically forgot. I basically googled how multiplication and binary worked and tried to do that but with redstone instead of with paper basically. And as you can see, that is a pretty complicated thing to do. But this is the result in binary, of course. So the result in binary should be 111 0 0 0 1 0 0 1 1 0 1 0 0. I have no idea what that is, of course, but I guess we can find out. So the result goes all the way over here. This is the divider, by the way, which is even more complex than the markiplier, I mean multiplier. And the result goes all the way over here. And as with what happened earlier, it has to go all the way over here through the double algorithm. And finally the result should emerge as a binary coded decimal over here. So the last digit is 1010, which is... Isn't that 10? How is that possible? Let's see. No, I think it means 0. I think if it's 1010, which should be 10, it might mean that the last digit is 0. I don't even know, I'm just guessing that. So let's go with that for now. This one, the second digit is 1000, which should be 8. So we should see the 8th digit lit up here. Yeah, this is 8. This one is 1001, which should be 9. This one is 8 as well. And this one is 0010, which should be 2. So the result should be 28980. Let's see if that's true. Let's break the ceiling again, just to confirm that we are indeed floor gang. And this is the result, 28920, so that works. Now I'll actually calculate this on my phone to make sure that it is in fact correct. It is in fact correct, so again my calculator worked flawlessly, very nice. And we finally solved the mystery of the multiplication of the two funny numbers. So you learned quite a lot today. So I think that's it. I'm pretty proud of this, like I said. It's probably my proudest Minecraft creation ever, more than any other Loadblock song that I've made. Cause I basically built it myself. It took a lot of time, but it was very fun. It was like a fun project to do. I know it's a very nerdy, cringe project, but I enjoy doing it, so yeah. This is the entire calculator. Let's see if we can increase the render distance even more. So that's pretty big. In fact, I remember a problem I had was that I couldn't make it much bigger than this at all. Because back then the maximum render distance was 16, and anything outside of that wouldn't even work. So anything that was more than 16 chunks away from you wouldn't work. If there was any redstone there, it would just not work. And in fact, I think I wanted to keep it to a maximum distance of 13 chunks, not 16. Because if I remember well, servers only had a maximum chunk distance of 13. And I wanted it to work on servers as well. That's why I made it so that you stand right in the middle of the entire thing. That's not coincidence. It was so that there's a maximum of 13 chunks to each side from the middle. So yeah, I had to plan ahead quite a lot, but it worked. So that's it. Hope you understood something. Hope you found it interesting. Now go build your own calculators. And if Elon Musk sees this, can I come work at SpaceX, please?